Howdy, folks. Happy Thursday. Ack will be here in a few minutes. We're going to be talking about, we're going to do some segments on movies, overrated, underrated, best. Today is like low-hanging fruit. It's the worst movies. And we're not going to just do like hockey, baseball, football, basketball. I noticed in my assembling my list, there are so many friggin' bad baseball movies. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I just did one though. It's hard. Baseball's hard.
But we'll start with
we have to justify it. You can't just say the name.
Don't worry. I don't have any problem justifying it. There's a bunch of crap.
I did a top 5 based on your request, including one I watched my number one was while watching on a flight coming back.
I didn't do top 5. I just did one of each.
I did 5. I'll give you the number one because it was a horror show of a movie.
That's fine. Okay. But Russ, start with the pre-show.
Well, here's the first item. Just saw this in the New York Daily News. Buster Olney reported that even if there's no baseball season, A.J. Hinch and Jeff Lunau will have served their suspensions.
Oh, what a load of crap.
And I can't tell you the visceral reaction that has come out of that and the hatred now towards Rob Manfred. Like, this is one of the worst decisions he's ever made.
This is what happens with service. This is what happens with service time being added. It set a precedent.
Yeah,
and then everybody else was like, "Well, if the clock is running, it's running on me." Then,
but I don't know anybody that likes the service time. That's the funny thing. I couldn't find one person that likes it.
Not the person. The players like the players love it. That's the trade-off.
Let me say this carefully so people don't misunderstand. Okay, when 9/11 happened, there was probably only one person in the United States that was happy, not because of what happened, but was happy that there was something so traumatic, so, big that it took his name off of the
news cycles.
And that was Gary Condit, the congressman who was accused of killing Chandra Levy. I think he was somebody he was having an affair with, or somebody who worked. He was on every news show, Nancy Grace, everything.
I remember. Yep.
Yeah. And when 9/11 happened, his name disappeared. And then years later, they found Chandra Levy's body, and it was something like he wasn't even part of it, but he was being excoriated. He was being destroyed. And he wasn't happy that there was a terrorist event, but that was a healthy byproduct for him. That's what the Houston Astros are benefiting from the coronavirus, because nobody's talking about the Astros because there are no games. They're probably not going to get booed when the games come back. Because
I still think they're going to.
I hope so, because they
have long memories.
But what are your thoughts here that the Astros will be rehiring Lunau and Hinch at the end of this?
No. I think they'll be.
I think they might rehire.
They will try and rehire Hinch.
Yes.
They will.
Yes.
I don't know about Lunau. I don't think so. I think the
Lunau probably not, but Hinch. It all depends on. What happens with. But the thing is,
I think the ownership was fed up.
How long is the deal with Dusty? Is it for 1 year?
Well, I think so. I think it's 1. Yeah.
So at the time,
he may never manage.
And that's the crazy part, exactly. The fact that he may never, he may not ever manage, and Hinch is back in the job after that. That's going to be.
And there's talk about Boston bringing Cora back.
Well, how about this? Where's the investigation for Boston?
I was going to say the same thing. It's not like they have a lot of things to do right now. How about finishing up the investigation?
I'm telling you, Rob Manfred is doing the worst. I used to think Bud Selig was the worst. Not even close now. Not even close. Now, Mike, I stumbled on something yesterday. Maybe a black hole in your childhood. I'm not sure what it is, but there's a company called Drake's.
Yes.
Very well known for snack cakes. I brought up basically a hot take, a food take, that ring dings are better than ding dongs, because ding dongs were, to me, knockoffs of ring dings, the Hostess knockoff. Anthony knows. Anthony, do you have a favorite of one of the two?
Here's the thing. I grew up, honestly, because I as you guys know, my parents ran a grocery store in South Philadelphia. So for the most part, we had specifically Tasty Cake and Edmonds.
Okay.
And that was pretty much it. So for me, any of the other ones, I didn't even partake in it in any of those things, especially along the lines of Drake's or anything like that, till maybe in college. And
and
I hate to say, Tasty Cakes, because they were local.
But there is no ring ding equivalent in the tasty cake world.
You'd have to go to a supermarket, and because of my experience is sort of very when it comes to stuff like that is very.
And that's the thing.
Limited. I've had it. And I was just like, it always paled to tasty cake.
I didn't realize that
one's local.
I didn't realize that they were all. I mean, Hostess is not regional. At least I don't think it is. I thought it was all over the country.
Well, it's in parts. It's like everything else. Nothing is all over the country.
Okay.
All these snack companies are regional to some degree. Now, Lay's obviously moved out to the point they're all over the country. But I just couldn't believe that you've never tried anything from Drake's, like a Devil Dog.
No.
I had a Devil Dog. I did. Those were good. Those were pretty solid.
They're good. They're a little dry, but they're good.
Yeah, that you needed to drink something with them.
You had to have
get that sort of in your mouth.
Now, we were strictly a Hostess area. That's why Ho-Ho's, Suzy Q's, which were, the
big fat pieces of chocolate cake and a lot of cream.
Right, exactly. Their cupcakes.
Yeah, the cupcakes were always solid.
Yeah, the cupcakes were great. I had the unpopular take of that I prefer the orange cupcakes than the chocolate ones for Hostess.
And you down it with Tang, didn't you, Mike?
I think so. I mean, look, the snowballs were fantastic.
Snowballs were good. Yeah,
it's amazing to me that
never
7 hours north of New York, you didn't get it, but Philly gets Drake's. A lot of places get it. In the same state, it's amazing you would not get something that we would get. Now, ice cream, I could see it, right? Because there's a lot of local ice cream places. So, like when you talked about that company that sent me an email that time.
Well,
what was your version of like the Turkey Hill local company of yours?
Perry's,
right. When they sent me something, I had never heard of Perry's before, but that's because local ice cream is really local.
Yeah, and Turkey Hill is disgusting. It really is. It's terrible.
No, it's not. What is wrong with you?
Gross.
The ice cream or
the ice cream? The ice cream.
About that. At least I've had
pretty
it.
Solid.
I think it's pretty solid. Then again, I'm also partial to, and I don't even know if they don't even put it out anymore. Was at the Phillies games they had the Graham Slam.
Now El Guapo.
I don't think that's around anymore.
It's not, which is a killer for me because that was one of the things.
Hold on, before you put El Guapo, hold on. The one thing I was going to say is, look, I'm a New Yorker where basically it was like Breyers and those kinds of companies.
Good.
And then eventually Haagen-Dazs got on.
Yeah, we sold Breyers at my dad's store. It was just about Breyers, pretty much.
Right, but again, Turkey Hill is as good as Breyers. There's no difference.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I love Ben and Jerry's, but
have you had Turkey Hill soft serve?
I've had. I don't know, because I mean, like,
I think their soft serve's better than their hard ice cream.
If I knew it was Turkey Hill, I wouldn't buy it. I just had bad experiences with Turkey Hill hard ice cream that just tastes terrible. I would rather eat a store brand like Wegmans or Tops than eat Turkey Hill. So El Guapo in the chat said his dad delivered Hostess for 25 years, so he had unlimited access to all Hostess products. And he says, I was very popular at lunch. Now, this is the thing.
If you could swap Twinkies back in the day, the real Twinkies at lunch, you were a king.
Oh, please. Well, this is the thing. I was a milk monitor at school, so I got because my dad was a teacher at school.
You cut into the cookies. You ate them. I know
No. I got my lunch. I ate my lunch before everybody because I was selling milk. And I also got like free cookies and free stuff. And I would sell them for like 10 cents a cookie because they were like cookies like this monstrous. But no, if El Guapo knows the answer to this, tell me, because this pisses me off. My favorite, because Hostess had the apple pies.
Yeah, those were good.
And then they had apple pies, they had cherry pies, and they had lemon pie.
Yeah, the lemon I like best.
I love the lemon best. And I cannot find a lemon pie it's nowhere anymore. None.
Yeah, I'm not sure the lemon's around anymore. That's a good point.
And it's great. They were great. They were the best.
Yeah, I thought they were the best. Cherry was the next best.
Yeah.
Apple's apple. See, because Drake's made those, and those weren't as good as the Hostess.
Tasty Cake put out a real good French apple.
And
that was always good. I'm spoiled because the fact that my dad had a grocery store and that's who we had most of our stuff through. It was Tasty Cake.
I think if we took a sugar level of all of them, I think Tasty Cake's the highest.
I didn't know anything about Tasty Cakes until the case of Tasty Cakes on the flyer and podcast. I didn't know anything about them. And
that was your region. That's how you knew it was a regional broadcast.
That's how you found out.
That's how I found out. And then when I was at the draft, in 2014, I actually had one. Yep. And then one more thing, and then we'll start.
I'll tell you what, I haven't eaten all the tasty cakes because I don't eat a lot of that stuff. But the peanut butter candy cakes are good.
God, yeah. Especially you stick them in the fridge.
Yeah, though I've never done that. But
freeze, you can freeze them, you have to refrigerate because then that chocolate just has that just right level of.
Yeah,
when you bite into it, it's like biting into it. It's biting into a like a chocolate bar.
It's solid. It beats Little Debbie's or any other.
Perfect. Yeah.
And you know how these companies work. If they put out like their cavalcade of items and one of the items doesn't sell, then they won't sell them in that, or they won't put them on the shelf.
Ship them to Canada. Canada's like our test market. It is.
Moon pies. I never had a moon pie here because they were apparently unpopular in Buffalo, and I only had a moon pie like when I went downstate and visited. That's like oatmeal cookies with a white frosting in between. And they're damn good, but it's like
they are
good. They're good. Once in a blue moon
area, it was scooter pies. They didn't have the moon pies.
Yes,
same thing. But I
can't believe I just said once. We're mentioning moon pies. I just said once in a blue moon. I just realized what I just said.
Yeah, fantastic.
Way to go. More tea.
All right. Hello, Hockey World. Today is Thursday, April 2nd, 2020.
I'm Anthony Maggioni from Sunrise Philly Magazine.
I'm Russ Cohen from Sportsology, and clearly the tang is not working on Mike's cough.
I just choked on some water.
Mike, you've had this cough for like a month.
Thanks, Russ. I'm Michael Lagello, and this is the Hockey Buzzcast here on HockeyBuzz.com. And
this is the podcast that comes every Monday through Friday at this time. So we've been on the comings and goings in the hockey world. And I am Eklund.
There you go.
And I am sorry for my delay. I had a little
smooth
thing going on here.
We covered, and we got
caddying on the golf course. That's what it looks like.
Yeah. No. Nothing nearly that interesting.
Excuse me, sir. I never slice.
I guess we're all kind of living with our, families all the time right now. So it's kind of funny. Sometimes there will be, we have this one room that we call the meltdown room. If you're going to have a meltdown, just go there.
Okay.
There's a punching bag in there.
There's bedrooms in your home. That should be the meltdown room. Everybody should have their own individual meltdown areas.
They do. But, but we're a family. It's funny. We're just a family that we do tend to be like all together all the time. We just like our kids, still more often than not will sleep in our room. Like we have another bed in our room for that purpose. They just like to come in our room. But sometimes, so the meltdown room was being utilized this morning for a little bit and some things had to be talked about, but everything's fine. It's tough. I have a daughter who's a senior in high school. This is a really bad time to be a senior in high school. Because
I teach 3 classes of them. So it's,
I will tell you,
yeah,
honestly, this wouldn't have bothered my senior year at all because I used to come in late third period every day. I'd literally go to 3 classes and I'd walk home.
Here's the thing about that, right? That's what my daughter wants to do. Like she wants the joy of being able to do that. You know what I mean?
That's what she should do. Yeah.
But she can't do that, so she's
missing class.
The joy of being able to blow it off on your own.
Yeah. If you did your schedule right, I had homework.
Well, if you had enough classes you passed, then you could probably have less classes in your senior year. That's what happened to me senior year.
She's missing out on senior skip day. That's
right. I would have being able to be part of senior skip day, which is a big deal after you've been in school all the time.
Yeah, I would have
there was only one problem. My dad was a teacher at the school. The school was 15 miles from where I lived. So if I skipped, I was stuck in the city of Buffalo.
Here's how bad and corrupt my school was. First period was homeroom. Second period, I made sure I had study hall. So I either didn't show up, or if I showed up, third period was like shop. And the driver's ed teacher would come in and get me out of class so I could play basketball in the gym with all the other gym teachers. Like he literally would come either sign me out of study hall or sign me out of the next class. And we'd play full court basketball.
Yeah, you see that kind of stuff. See, they're like, they canceled the prom. They're canceling, they're working on graduation, things like that. All that stuff is like, so
yeah, that's tough.
It's tough to you'd have to counsel people here.
Now we actually have some minor breaking news, and
let's start with the minor breaking news.
And it's related to the Rangers. So Russ, the Rangers have signed college free agent Justin Richards from Minnesota Duluth to a entry-level contract. Didn't say how long, but I'm sure you've probably seen him.
I have seen him a couple of years. He's not a star or anything. I think you're probably looking at like a fourth liner.
Mhm.
I think that's where you're looking at. I believe he's a center and he's good on faceoffs. He's good defensively. I don't think the goals that he's scoring, they're going to translate a lot in the NHL.
Right.
But I think he's just one of those, good, solid players that, you might be able to have. Because right now they have Greg McKegg on the fourth line, right? So at some point, Greg McKegg won't be the guy, and maybe someone like Justin Richards will be the guy.
Right. And now yesterday the Leafs made a couple minor signings. One, Philip Kral, a defenseman they drafted a couple years ago, and Kristens Rubens, another defenseman who was on an AHL contract. The only thing that's notable about that is, and I wanted to put this out there, with the uncertainty right now of when the draft is going to be, when obviously July 1st would be free agency, but we don't know what the season is going to be. So June 1st is when 2018 draft picks normally have to be signed by. Otherwise, they go back in the draft. But because we don't know when the draft is, all these dates are up in the air. So I think
the signed by dates are going to stay the same.
I want to mention something, though.
Yeah.
Normally, we would not be talking about Minnesota Duluth players right now because they wanted a chance to three-peat for an NCAA championship, which is never going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's a shame. That's why those guys are finally signing, because it's like
a thing too. I mean, like another
they can't do it.
That's just a tough situation for it. Those are the kids I really feel bad for. Like honestly, like us schlubs, year to year to year, it doesn't much matter. We miss a couple of months, it's fine. I like it. I'm all for it. But the people who are like going through like monumental years, like those people who are planning on getting married or whatever, or people.
And I think we missed this on the show. Sorry, Ek. When the Blues signed Scott Perinovich, he's one of the best, if not the best, college defensemen. And I think in a year he'll be in the NHL. I think they'll let him play a year in the AHL. He's a terrific skater. He's great on the power play. He's smart. He's the guy that took third time to actually get drafted. But I was so thrilled when this kid got drafted. I was, because it's just he has a lot of talent, but there were reasons why everybody would talk themselves out of not drafting him.
Right. But this is the thing that's, and I'm probably going to write about this eventually because, obviously sometimes there's a lull in the news. The teams like, a team like Tampa Bay didn't get royally screwed by this because the guys that they traded for, like Barclay Goodrow and like Blake Coleman, had another year on their contract. They're not getting the full value, but at least they have them for next year. A team like Vegas gets royally screwed out of this whole situation because they traded a second round pick for Robin Lehner, and Lehner, if the season never comes around, he walks. He goes away. They gave up a second round pick for what, 2 games?
Well, so
that happened to a couple teams, and the other team along those lines, Mike, I'll sit there and say, that I was talking to somebody in Florida because yesterday or a couple days ago, I wrote an article about UFA to be Mike Hoffman, who is going to be like serious player. Mike Hoffman, isn't going to. The Panthers know he's not coming back there. They've known he's not going back there for a couple of years now. They know he's made it very clear he's going to test the free agent market. One of their better players, Panthers in a playoff race, don't trade him at the deadline. They don't move him at the deadline at all. And with first round draft picks out there, possibly, for them.
Well, the fact that there is, this sliver of hope. PK Subban was on ESPN's First Take today talking about hockey and then other things. Eventually, it got out. He's a Cowboys fan, so he wanted to talk about the Cowboys, and there was a whole thing with that. But getting back to the hockey,
it's funny. I always like PK. Now I don't. That's okay. It's cool.
He would like to have it be a 31-team tournament.
Yeah.
And he would like those pesky Devils to be in that. And
totally asinine.
And I couldn't believe that really nobody on the panel challenged that, but that just shows how little they care about hockey.
Yeah, but the problem is, Russ, they don't even know that there are 31 teams in the league, let alone.
I mean, the interesting. I mean, the
Stephen A. might. He did cover the 2010 Stanley Cup. I saw him there, and I asked Stephen A., what are you doing covering the Stanley Cup? Because he was covering it for the Inquirer, because he used to work for them, and then they just gave him like a gig for that Stanley Cup, and he goes, making a living. And he walked away.
it's I mean, I've heard a couple different things, like I've heard I've heard that if they
perfect answer, by the way.
I heard something that's kind of.
I respected it.
Today, and I don't know if this is out there or not. It may be out there. I haven't read it, but I was talking to somebody, and if it's not out there, I probably should just write it and not talk about it. But I'll talk about it now and say it because it probably is out there. Because I don't know. I'm trying to keep up with everything that's out there. But there was a concept that if you jump right to the playoffs, the non-playoff teams would have their own little tournament. Have you heard about this?
A loser tournament? Is that what we're going to call it?
Other than a 31-team playoff, this was even worse. This is an even worse idea.
I know. Instead of like Mike said, instead of the draft lottery, they would have the teams that don't make it would have a tournament, and whoever wins that tournament gets the first pick in the draft.
Yeah, they could care less. They could care less.
So this whole season was just practice? Is that what this was?
I don't know. I mean, I listen. In the past, I did actually propose this concept of like at the.
I remember.
Remember, if you're done at the trade deadline, if you're out of the trade deadline, or at some point, the record from the trade deadline on. Yeah,
but there's a
opposite. Like
it's asinine. It is of all things. This might. I mean, there have been some pretty dumb ideas out there. This may have been the most asinine suggestion I've heard.
And what that does is that rewards the non-playoff team that's the best of the non-playoff teams, rather than the one who deserves it, which is the team that's the worst.
And what do the players get out of it? I mean, it's like, congratulations, you got your team, you helped them win the lottery. Well, congratulations. We're not going to draft a player who is potentially going to replace you in the long run.
That's the best part of it.
Yeah, that's a great idea for a
That's
tournament.
the best part of it. You're out there busting your butt, for a guy, because those guys are all playing. They're doing nothing else at this time. What do we always say? Those guys are playing for jobs, right?
Right.
We always say.
Exactly. This is the ridiculous thing. It's the first thing that popped in my head. I was like, yes, that's exactly what to work my rear end off for a guy who's going to replace me.
Funky Colzine in the chat room. A real hat tip, if this hasn't been said, again, it may have been said, but for calling this the toilet bowl would be fantastic. Anyway,
I agree
but sponsored by Drano. But no, man, Anthony, we had Dennis Maruk on yesterday. Dennis Maruk was on the Minnesota North Stars and gets traded. Why? Because they had the number 1 pick in the draft. They had Bobby Smith, and they needed to create. They needed to trade him to clear space so Bobby Smith could be the number 1 center.
Carpenter.
No, it was Bobby Smith.
Smith. It was Smith for the North Stars. That's right. It was Carpenter for the Capitals.
And then he got traded again. He got traded back to Minnesota.
Yeah.
So why? Honestly, if the NHL proposed that, the NHLPA should say, "Kiss my you know what," because that's ridiculous.
You can't let these other teams in any kind of tournament, because they all played at least 70 games, and it was obvious after 70 games who was not going to make it. Right. Really, there might be, again, 4 teams where you look at it and say, okay, you had some sort of chance. We'll do something for you. But everybody else should be sitting.
It's the hockey-related revenue cup.
Yeah.
That's all this is.
Yeah.
You all want to still make money? Keep playing and you'll keep making money.
It's not those keep make money. And I do think that, all right, if we take all of the hockey purist thing out of us and all this stuff, I'm going to play devil's advocate because someone has to, right? A little bit. But I think there is something. I think it would be fun. I think it would be fun from a perspective, from the outside perspective, to watch it, to see how it played out. For anything that could happen, it would be kind of fun. Okay, because instead of this ping pong ball, craziness that we see, it would be kind of fun to have something that mattered for the first pick overall.
I'll tell you what will happen, Nick. What will happen is, because there's going to be so many games, NBC will say, hey, look, the WrestleMania has been taped in advance. Yeah. Let's just tape these games, and we'll show 5 of them a day.
It'll be they get leaked, till some enterprising individual leaks it.
Yeah.
That'll work out.
It'll be like the Champions League on NHL Network. Right. Nobody cares.
But do you remember years ago when we were kids? I was just talking to somebody. I was talking to an old player about this. Man, this brings back some memories. So I forget who was involved in it, but you remember they had when the NHL they had the Pepsi Shootout Challenge or whatever it was called. It was called
the Showdown.
The Showdown. Remember? And this for those of you who are younger, what it was in between when NBC was the first major network to have hockey on it. NBC would have these things. I think they were between the second and third period or whatever, where they had.
Well, they got it. They got it from CBC because CBC did it. It was.
Okay, I remember it in America.
Yeah, it was hockey in Canada, and you would have, say, a goaltender like Donnie Edwards from the Sabres.
Right. And they were all filmed in this.
It's all taped. Yeah.
Right.
They were all filmed in one day, and it was an interesting thing because the way it played out was, so I was talking to a player who was involved in it. It was a straight up like breakaway competition, shootout competition to see who was going to be the best. And they were like brackets, and they went down and it was fun to do. And I'm kind of like, part of me wants to see if the NHL could do something like that during this period of time. Like if you get somebody whose test is okay to come in.
It was sort of like the old Russ. It was sort of like the old home run derby that they did.
That's exactly like home run derby.
The funny thing about it was this, because the way they did it, the way they filmed it, where a player would, because they couldn't get all the players in at the same time, so they would have all the players shoot against all the goalies, and then they would, and so they would have it as best they could, so because they didn't know, so a guy wouldn't know if he was shooting against somebody who was already eliminated or not, or if the shooter was. So they had all these they had everything filmed so that they could actually weed it down to what they really needed it.
Yeah, they bracketed it, but I'm pretty sure, and somebody in the chat can tell me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure who ended it was Harold Ballard, because Harold Ballard denied, I think, Daryl Sittler or Lanny McDonald, one of the Leaf stars,
of course,
from participating in it.
Why?
Because I think it was an NHLP. I think it was an NHLPA sponsored event, and Ballard was very anti-union, so I think that was the justification for it.
That's interesting. Oh man,
that's a good story. Actually, Kevin Allen might know about that. We talk about that.
We'll talk about that, with him tomorrow. He'll be on. But yeah, I think that just to me was like pretty crazy, pretty crazy.
But I mean, they're gonna have to think outside the box.
I mean, I would like something like that to happen now. It'd be kind of fun. I don't think it can happen quite yet, but
I think that has a chance of actually happening more now, because there is relative peace between the NHL and the PA.
Yeah. I mean, but I wonder if you could actually get these guys together to do it, like in a certain way, like get it. I don't know. It's not a big deal, but it would be a fun thing for people to look forward to. I'm just looking for things that the NHL still needs to do more during this period of time. The NHL needs to do more than they're doing. I'm really, with all the internet and everything, I get replaying all these games. They have to come up with something more creative. I'm actually talking to him about some things, actually, but I won't get into that. But
we got a show here, guys.
We have a show. I mean, there's all kinds of things that have to happen. That could happen. They could do so much more. I mean, these Zoom things with the 4 players, whatever, they're fun, but they need to be more of them. I mean, they do seem to be trying. There are I know that the Leafs made Kyle Dubas available. The Sabres made Jack Eichel available yesterday. I think they're trying. They realize that people in the media, I mean, normally this is the time. Like today would have been the second last home game for the Leafs. Friday or Saturday would have been the last one, and then playoffs would have started next week.
This would have been the last Flyers home game. I know that.
Yeah, so I think they realize that we're starving here for news, and so that's why maybe these signings will get done, because at least they're doing something. They're being proactive.
We had talked about doing something that they should do, they should get a bunch of players together to watch Slapshot or something like that, and just have the players the reaction to the thing.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Mystery Hockey Theater 3000.
I know I think it would be phenomenal. I mean, these guys are at their best when they're just screwing around.
Mm-hmm.
They're much better when they're off the cuff, like them when they're being asked questions about themselves.
But here's the thing, and the players have mentioned this: the fact that the Zoom things have been a little bit awkward, because the thing is, it's not private. Everybody's watching it,
right?
And I wonder just how. Yeah. Truly, you have to have that you have to be able to figure out the guys who would be completely comfortable with that, and that's tough, especially with hockey players. I think
what's the most notable thing that's been said in any of these Zoom things? The Zdeno Chara comment about Tuukka Rask.
We also have Backstrom too. Backstrom got a little bit of, because he said because people took it to the nth degree about him saying Ovi always wants the puck.
Yeah.
And people took it as in, he doesn't get the puck pass, so Ovi's a puck hog. And it's like, no. And he's got to go back in scramble mode, no, we know how he plays, and I love passing him the puck. But it's like, you can't sort of –
right.
You are off the cuff, and then all of a sudden people have issues.
The problem here, Ak, is that we're dealing with players in the post-Roenick
here in my house. 1 second, I'll be right back. Sorry.
Okay. In the post-Roenick world, in terms of spitting chicklets, where his career was basically destroyed by something stupid that he said on that show.
Yeah.
And do you think that these players I think they realize they've been trained enough in terms of handling the media that they won't do that.
I need a second. Give me a second, guys. Okay, this is what's going on outside my house, because no one's knocking on your doors. So as it turns out, my loving wife, my Cornell alumni wife, Last night decided to order 3 cases of beer delivered to our house. Which I didn't know about. So that's what's happening right now. 3 cases of beer are being delivered to our house.
Okay.
There you go.
Can't beat that, right? I don't drink, so
Obviously, getting along with you is going to be easier.
Is it
get through these next couple months?
Is it Rolling Rock?
No.
No,
Listen, if you're going to go with what people at Cornell drank back in the day,
Amstel Light.
no, it may have been PBR or something slightly
No,
better.
Jenny Cream Ale.
Jenny Cream.
Used to drink with Kent Manderville. Used to hang out.
Schlitz down here.
No, yeah. Cornell,
Cream Ale was basically
Ivy League. The drinking Ivy League school, no questions asked. Like every reunion I've been to there, it's just like every memory is like remember that day when it snowed? We were so hammered that day.
If you went to Oneonta or Plattsburgh, you were drinking Jenny Cream Ale.
Yeah. I guess when it's that cold up there,
It's made in Rochester.
Anyway, I really apologize for the interruption there.
No, that's all right. But we should get to our other.
We're gonna get to our movies now.
All right, we're gonna talk sports movies today a little bit, and I want to get. So I think we're going to talk all different kinds. So how would you like to do this? How would you guys like to do this?
We'll take the sport. We'll start with baseball and just go around the horn. If you have one, if you have you have a tie, go ahead. I mean, I'm not going to say all 5 or 6 baseball ones, but there are so many bad ones that. But Anthony, go ahead. What's your worst baseball movie?
Major League 3, Back to the Minors. It was pretty bad.
Oh wow, I didn't even watch that.
Yeah, I saw it. Like on HBO once. I didn't see it. I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure if it even made theaters. All I remember Scott Bakula was in it.
Yeah, I thought
two was. You could tell it was kind of almost. It was a rehash of 1. Yeah. And then 3 was just it was just a train wreck. Corbin Burnson had become the owner of the Twins, and I don't even remember all the details. All I know is that it was utter crap.
They bring some Japanese guy who throws his bat around.
No, he was in the second one, the Japanese guy. I think in the second one, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Like all I know is that I remember watching that, going, yeah, we're done. Stop.
Okay, Ak, your worst baseball movie?
It's going to be funny because people are going to totally disagree with me on this, but I watched it recently because I thought it would be fun to show the kids because it's something I remember enjoying as a child. But it doesn't hold up at all. I mean, not at all. And that is the Bad News Bears.
Really?
Bad News Bears is just horrible. I mean, it's a bad.
The original, the first one.
The
Walter
Matthau.
Yeah, it's such a classic. We use it, and it's been a term that's become like part of our vernacular. It's like like they're like the Bad News Bears, whatever. It's
but Buttermaker was great.
Yeah.
Oh man,
he's you know what it is? It's like
movies are just like I mean, we all kind of have
Archie Bunker characters. What do you
right? And we kind of have this thing like where my wife and I, like, one of the things we love to do is binge like 90s movies, like Breakfast Club and all those movies. Like Some Kind of Wonderful.
That's not a 90s movie, Breakfast Club. That was 80s.
That's 80s.
Right,
and I think Some Kind of Wonderful.
We're getting to that point, Ek, where the errors.
I know they're all the same, right? But I'm going to say the 80s movies. All the what was his name? Who made all those movies? The guy who died recently.
John Hughes.
Yeah, John Hughes, right? All the John Hughes movies. Any movie with Ali Sheedy in it, really, pretty much. So, who I love. I was a huge Ali Sheedy kid, and I was in the 80s. Ali Sheedy was going to be my wife. So, all right. So that, but when you watch one of those movies with your kids, I mean, guys don't, if you don't have kids, it's different. But when you watch one of those movies with your kids, you're like, I got it. You got to sit down and watch St. Elmo's Fire. All right, we're going to sit down and watch that, whatever, or some movie like that. It's amazing how politically correct we've gotten in the world, and how there's some of the things that are being and for good reason, and some of the things that are being said. You're just you can't justify. You try your best. You're like, well, the times were different. Like, yeah, you guys rest.
I get what you're saying, because Vic Morrow slaps his kid on the pitcher's mound in that movie. And
Bad News Bears, you cannot watch it. I mean, because what has happened after all these years, it's like,
I have no kids. I'll watch it. Kelly Lake was great.
I think it's phenomenal.
You'll watch it, but you'll have to shift your way of thinking back to then. When you watch it, because if you to watch
that's not hard for us. Come on.
No.
Imagine
Russ been in a time warp for the last 25, 30 years.
Imagine this. I'm like this guy. I'm like, and I put it onto Twitter. I'm like, I got a great movie for you guys. I just made it with all my friends, and you put out Bad News Bears to the world right now, as it is. You would
no, but of course you can't do that.
Yeah. I mean,
every piece of art is has to be viewed in the time frame that it's in.
Right.
If you use a modern lens on it, you're right. It becomes difficult to hold up.
All right, well, we gotta keep going.
All right.
Baseball,
All right.
Russ, go ahead.
All right, I'm gonna go with The Babe. That was with John Goodman.
Yes.
I attempted to watch it. I got to a point where they actually had Babe Ruth hit an inside the park home run on a ball that he hit straight up, which never happened in real life. It certainly never happened for John Goodman because John Goodman, he had to lose weight to play Babe Ruth. Let's start there. And he also threw out his shoulder. I think he had to get shoulder surgery after that movie. That's how bad that movie was.
Yeah, I mean it's worse. I didn't think it was possible to be worse than the William Bendix.
It was worse.
I mean, I'm sorry. He is such an iconic character. How can you not make a good movie about him? And the couple attempts that they have done have been hideous.
I know.
Okay, there are so many ones. Ed with Matt LeBlanc, where he's playing a baseball with a monkey.
I got that confused with Most Valuable Primate. I'm like, what movie was LeBlanc in that involved an animal?
I didn't watch Ed, but I remember
These are quick honorable mentions. Mr. 3000 with Bernie Mac.
Yeah.
Little Big League, which is more of a kids movie.
That was okay. I wouldn't
I leave that alone. It's a kids movie.
Rookie of the Year with Gary Busey.
No, that was horrible.
But the absolute worst is a movie called The Scout with Brendan Fraser and Albert Brooks. It is so embarrassingly bad.
Yeah,
I can't.
And Albert Brooks is good in a lot of things.
And Albert Brooks is he clearly did this one for the money. And Brendan Fraser, other than a couple movies.
Well, unless he's frozen in time or he goes back in time, he's no good anyhow.
Right. Okay. Basketball. Do you have one?
Yes. We just watched it the other night. Space Jam.
Oh.
Space Jam Basketball, which is the Michael Jordan crossover, where you have the
It's another one that doesn't hold up.
I put that in as a kids movie, so I don't really take it seriously.
No, but it's still. I mean, it was a kids movie, but with Michael Jordan in it, obviously, people are gonna watch it, like adults are gonna watch it. So there's no two ways about it. Space Jam is not only is it surrealistic and it's so bad that you might almost call it good at times because it's like so bad. But it destroyed two things that I love, which are Michael Jordan and the Looney Tunes. Like two of the things that are just should not be destroyed.
Aren't they remaking that with LeBron? I thought they have.
Yeah.
Okay, Anthony, basketball.
Oh, we're gonna pull this one way back from antiquity. The fish that saved Pittsburgh.
Oh my God!
With my all-time favorite NBA player, and Russ's probably too. Dr.
Gabe Kaplan, right?
What's that?
Isn't that Gabe Kaplan?
No, that's Fast Break.
Yeah, Fast Break.
Yeah. No. All I know is the movie was so bad, Pittsburgh has never had a basketball team.
This is let's show Dr. J in as many scenes as we can. That's what they did.
Ross.
Yeah.
All right. So on this one's called the Bobby Knight story. Now, here's the actual story on this one. This was an ESPN movie. ESPN was starting to produce movies, and they were sending them to me at Sportsology to review. Brian Dennehy played Bobby Knight.
I remember this.
He was out of breath for half the movie. And then when someone would throw him the ball, he would like look at it like it was the strangest thing he'd ever seen in his life. Like he didn't know what a basketball was. I put up an honest review about this movie, and ESPN never, ever sent me a screener again.
There you go, Russ.
See, that movie makes The Bronx is Burning seem like Patton.
Dennehy's a good actor, but this was
a great actor.
But this was out of his depth, yeah.
Yes.
My choice would have been what Anthony chose, which is Fish That Saved Pittsburgh. But my next one on the list, and I'll put it out there, is the all-time classic Eddie with Whoopi Goldberg and Frank Langella.
Oh, I never saw that.
Oh my God, where Whoopi Goldberg basically gets to coach the New York Knicks, makes foul shots, and then they start winning. I mean, it's
which nowadays is really far-fetched.
Right. Okay, football. Russ, you start.
All right, with football, Any Given Sunday. Now that movie, here's the problem with that movie. Every action scene seemed to have some sort of either thunder or lightning.
Yes.
For the weather in the background. Everything was extreme. It was dark. Al Pacino was yelling. Al Pacino would give like a 30-minute speech at halftime, which coaches don't have time for.
No.
Al Pacino was so not believable as a football coach. It was awful.
What I found weird about that movie was the guy who was the director of photography for that movie was the same guy who did JFK and won an Oscar. He was so obsessed with doing flashbacks to like Pacino's dad, who was like playing in a leather helmet in the 1920s. What the hell does that do anything?
It's so bad, this movie.
Oh, okay, football.
Come back to me. I got a text from somebody.
Okay. Anthony, go ahead. Football movie.
This one actually, I think, was a made-for-television movie, but hopefully this counts. The Bear with Gary Busey playing Bear Bryant.
Oh, yes.
Talk about a guy that was just – you want to talk about a guy who was just not cut out. Now, Tom Berenger did a good job in that. Yeah, Berenger did a great job.
He's always good, yeah.
But Gary was just utterly just woo.
Okay,
terrible.
All right, I'll go here next, while you're looking.
I got mine. I mean,
go ahead.
No, I live with a strong feminist. My favorite baseball movie is very good strong feminist movie. But then this one tried to be this and failed on so many levels that it became like actually the opposite of feminism, and that would be Wildcats with Goldie Hawn.
Oh, I never saw that.
Oh, it's terrible. Yeah, it's with Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson as players.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wildcats and Goldie Hawn is a female football player,
a female high school coach who's being sued for custody of their kids by her husband. It's so
horrendous, and it actually has like we tried to watch another one we tried to watch like not too long ago and I was watching with my wife. I'm like, oh, remember Goldie Hawn? We were like going through Goldie Hawn movies.
My honorable mention, because I felt like I didn't know which sport it really covered more, was basketball.
Oh, yeah. I
don't know I don't know how you categorize it.
It sucked on either baseball or basketball. So I didn't include. Okay.
Yeah, that was the South Park guys did that.
A couple honorable mentions from my early days at the movie theaters. A movie called Lucas with Corey Haim.
I saw that. That was
Charlie Sheen. It's basically the nerd playing football, and then he ends up getting hurt.
Yeah,
and Winona Ryder, who's
we all stayed away from Rudy. I noticed. So
yeah, Rudy was okay.
It was milquetoast.
That's in the overrated category. So
not terrible.
Lucas, Johnny Be Good with Anthony Michael Hall, and
that was awful
and terrible. The runner-up is Leatherheads with George Clooney and John Krasinski.
He thought for whatever reason Clooney pushed that movie. He thought it was going to be like his sports movie. He was the producer, I think.
Yeah.
He may have even paid for the whole movie.
He didn't direct it. He didn't direct.
No, but he may have paid for the movie.
Oh, he paid a lot for it.
I think he financed it, but he talked about that movie like it was going to be a classic, and it was like slapstick. It was
terrible. But my worst football movie is called Everybody's All-American with Dennis Quaid.
I remember that.
That is not a bad movie. I disagree. Dennis Quaid did a good acting job.
Well, he did a good acting job.
Quaid was good. But
it was just a terrible movie.
It was kind of.
I think that's a middle of the road movie. I would not rip it.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't kill it.
Well, you think Leatherheads is worse?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I would agree with that.
All right, we'll go to hockey.
All right.
Let me go first.
Sure, we're all gonna have the same one. That's the problem.
I got.
No. I think I have a different one.
I got 5 that are definitely gonna be hard to beat. But go ahead.
I think
you can't name 5 until we've all gone. Then you.
I'll go last.
Okay. I think you go last. It's the original Miracle on Ice movie.
Yeah, that was bad.
A TV movie with Carl Malden and Herb Brooks.
It was so put together. It was. You could tell how quick they literally just slapped it together within like a week of it being done. It looked that
the Olympics were in February. That movie was out in April.
I swear, the same guy who scored Starsky and Hutch scored that TV movie.
Andrew Stevens as Mike Eruzione. It was just so
bad. Exactly, like what Russ said there is exactly. You know what's going on is they're like from the guy who scored Starsky and Hutch. Like they're used as many. It doesn't mean he's going to be good.
Right.
It's like if there was like a knitting website that I created from the guy who created Hockey Buzz. Here's Knitting Buzz.
Now this one's gonna. It pains me to say something bad about a hometown guy for me, but with Slapshot 2 with Stephen Baldwin, the guy who played Barney Rubble, like it's just. I think he did a better job with Barney Rubble.
I try to avoid sequels because they're all bad, most of them. But yeah,
this was the worst sequel. Like we could all go back and say Caddyshack 2 was an awful sequel.
I don't remember the plot of that movie. Remember what that was about, which is really hilarious.
I don't remember the plot.
Okay, the plot of that was that the new owner of the Charlestown Chiefs has this idea to turn the Charlestown Chiefs into like the Harlem Globetrotters of hockey. Yeah. And basically, like, take them on a tour. Like, they're going to be like, they're going to have like a Globetrotter thing.
The Bingo All-Stars traveling. Yeah.
This is the one, to me, this is the remake that had the most precipitous drop-off in the history of remakes. From like one that everybody watches, every age group, to nobody watched it.
When was it made, too? It was made like pretty long.
It was made like 20 years after.
I think it was 20 years after.
You can't do that. Like that, like if someone tried to do a Spinal Tap, sequel.
Yeah.
No,
it would be along the same lines to me. Like there are certain things that are just.
Well, they did X-Files that way, didn't they?
Here's the movie, and then we have to go Anthony, then Eck with his list.
Yeah.
No, then this is not a sports movie. Here's the greatest precipitous drop from the original to the sequel with the same cast. 48 hours to another 48 hours. That was one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Okay, Anthony, go ahead. Hockey.
I initially thought about Most Valuable Primate, but I was like, I can't do it against. I can't do it to the animals because again, it's not their. It's the humans that are.
It is the most ridiculous concept, but it is so ridiculous.
It was terrible. So my next one would have to have been, and this was a monumentally disappointing thing because I really was looking forward to him as a hockey player. And as much of a fan as he is of hockey with the Toronto Maple Leafs, Mystery Alaska is a terrible, terrible.
Really,
I did not like this. I was utterly disappointed. Maybe it's just
who's the fan of the Leafs?
Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe's a big Toronto Maple Leafs fan.
Oh yeah,
Crow's a big Leafs fan. Yeah, he's a huge Leafs fan. But yeah, Mystery Alaska was just a monumentally it was just a disappointing movie. The other one, Russ already taken away, was Slapshot 2. That would have been the other one. Yeah. So since you had that, Mystery Alaska was on my list at like number 2 or 3. But I'm going to say right now, with Slapshot taken at this point, I'm going to say Mystery Alaska.
Go ahead, and I got a couple more, and I hope they're on your list. But go ahead.
All right, a couple more. I'm getting and I've watched one of my like secret things I have this notebook that I write whenever a hockey reference shows up anywhere. I write it in there, like if it's Simpsons or if it's on Friends or whatever. And I just always enjoyed like writing down a hockey reference, because as a kid, hockey references were rare. Now it's like all over the place, but I kind of like to see hockey references. So I've definitely seen almost every hockey movie there is. So I'm gonna start off with the Tooth Fairy.
I didn't even watch it.
We got The Rock dropped in. This is great.
I didn't even watch it.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson, who plays a goon, remember, who breaks the goon code.
Yeah.
Breaks the code of Tooth Fairies, I mean. Like, that's what it was. Yeah, like, and reveals the truth about Tooth Fairies.
You don't have to say anymore. Next.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that was terrible. I'm going to go with Mighty Ducks 3, all right, which is like
any Mighty Ducks movie.
The Mighty Ducks 1 and 2 were
all blow.
Mighty Ducks 1 is good. It is. Mighty Ducks 2 is right, it's a little bit more of the same thing.
Iceland, come on, Iceland is a hockey power. Are you serious?
Yeah. Mighty Ducks 3 is a totally different world.
Okay.
All right. Then I'm going to go with a movie that maybe you guys might not remember called Ice Angel.
Yeah, that one I don't know.
I haven't heard this.
I don't remember that.
The film of the I was looking up the Wikipedia thing. Okay, this film tells the story of Matt, a male hockey player who dies in a game and comes back to life as Sarah Bryn, a female figure skater.
Oh no!
Who falls into a coma during an accident made by an angel that caused the hockey player to die.
So it's a ripoff on Heaven Can Wait.
They both share the dream of competing in the Winter Olympics. The male hockey player returns to Earth wants to come back and compete in the Olympics as a hockey player, but it has to do so as a figure skater.
He does a triple sock out and then beats the crap out of her competition. There you go.
I do have an honorable mention that beats everybody's,
but nothing to me. My worst one is now, which is nothing beats this one, and that would be The Love Guru.
Oh, that was awful. Mike Myers.
Is it a hockey movie?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I think that actually, if you think about it, that sunk Mike Myers.
Yeah. It did.
Mike Myers is still around, but in terms of him being an actual was a box office sell.
Right.
I've never seen a movie kill a guy's career the way that.
Oh yeah, I know, and the way it portrays French Canadians in this movie is like so wrong and so awful.
Yeah, I've never
like
I've
beyond
never,
it makes the slap shot portrayal of French Canadian goalies like that makes that look calm. This French Canadian thing, this is done, Liv Govgarish has done many years after that. It's just really bad.
Now the two other ones, the classic sudden death with Jean-Claude Van Damme is brutal. And I have to say, even though it has some good actors in it, that Youngblood is terrible.
It's not terrible.
It's terrible.
But
again, it's another film you got to watch. You got to watch it through the prism of the 80s,
right?
And in that respect, I watch it now, and there's stuff in there that you absolutely wince at, but I would say it's very much the product of its time.
I'll give you one that's on every 10 years. It's called Idol of the Crowds with John Wayne. I own a copy of it. Him trying to skate. Of course, it's a mob-related hockey movie. It's so awful. Go to Sportsology. I did a whole write-up on it. It's awful.
Okay, other
Russ took time out of his life to do a write-up, so please read that write-up because it's that bad. Otherwise, that way he doesn't feel like he wasted his time doing it.
Other sports. Does anybody have a boxing one? Because I have one.
Nah, I didn't bother.
I have a soccer one, but a boxing one, Rocky V, easy.
There are worse. There are worse ones.
I know. I have one for soccer that's really that's my all-time worst movie.
If you want to go back a little bit, one called The Main Event with Ryan O'Neal and Barbara Streisand.
Oh yeah, that's bad.
Pretty terrible. Play It to the Bone with Antonio Banderas and Woody Harrelson is also.
Never heard of it.
But Digstown? What about Digstown with Lou Gossett Jr.?
That is the least.
Remember that one?
I actually like that. But
it was entertaining. I will say Digstown was actually entertaining.
The absolute worst is Grudge Match with De Niro and Stallone.
That was awful. I watched a couple minutes of it. Oh.
Right, with somebody who played Rocky and somebody who played in Raging Bull, to have these two boxing actor icons basically be 70 years old in boxing.
I remember posting a tweet about it saying like when two grandfathers meet in the ring or something.
Oh my God. Someone reminded me of something else. I got a text from somebody who's watching this show.
Okay.
National Lampoon's Pucked.
Never saw it.
I saw that. I never saw it, but I saw it on a list, and I'm like, I never.
We're gonna keep that one in the old dusty file drawer. And
I feel like I want to pull up a preview for it for us to watch. Let me see. I'm gonna do that.
Does anybody have a golf worst movie?
Golf.
I'll give you two. Caddyshack 2, obviously.
That's an obvious, yeah.
Okay. Again, a movie with a great director and really good actors, and it's just a bad movie, is The Legend of Bagger Vance.
Yeah, I never watched it. I didn't care.
Yeah, Charlize Theron is gorgeous. Matt Damon is a good actor. I like Will Smith.
I love your first references. Charlize Theron is gorgeous.
Honestly, it's one of the only pluses in the movie, Anthony. She's beautiful. It's like Cynthia Gibbon in Young.
Yeah. Mike, I do want an off thing here, Mike. I've been researching. Slapshot 1 made $28 million. Nobody will even say what Slapshot 2 made or didn't make. Just so you know.
It made $28,000.
Yeah.
I got a soccer one. And this one's going to be, because this was I was flying back from, I could be through the prism of the fact that I, just
you were
tired, but it was a really, really bad movie. It's one people probably haven't seen. It was a movie called, it's a soccer movie. It's called United Passions.
Never saw it.
It was with Tim Roth, Sam Neill. They're basically Tim Roth is playing Step Bladder. If anybody who knows soccer, Sam Neill playing Wild Avalanche. Basically, it was It was produced and created. It was basically it was a FIFA promotional piece.
FIFA thing,
and it was one of the 3 actors in it that I really like, and it was as awful, as horrific a movie as I've ever seen. It's one of those things. If you're looking for a train wreck of a movie to watch one night when you're completely wasted, look up United Passions. Check out the IMDb ratings on it too.
Seth Blatter was the guy who took all the bribes, right, for FIFA.
Both of them, him and the Sam. I think Wild Avalanche is
I don't know that name.
But I mean, they're all. It was just like we're talking about the most corrupt organization in the world actually producing a movie and thinking people were going to go and watch this.
Funny.
Oh, this is how we created the World Cup, and it's like,
right.
Well, here's I think the only movie made about this particular sport, and Russ knows this one very well. The worst arm wrestling movie is definitely Over the Top.
I have that. My synopsis for that was: you follow a steroid freak and his 12-year-old son through a series of arm wrestling events. Like, I don't get it.
Nice.
Do you have any other sports, alternate sports?
No.
I have a few. I have a couple.
I have a few good ones. I think when we do the best movies will be different, but
Flyer Fan 16 has got the award here for gymnastics. American Anthem with Janet Jones and Mitch Gaylord.
It's horrible.
It's horrific. It's terrible.
Yeah.
This one, Russ. Well, I mean, they should have. I think they should have charged this movie production with animal cruelty. It was called Hot to Trot with Bobcat Goldthwait and a horse that was talking. That was John Candy's voice. It was. I
remember this movie.
I don't.
I vaguely remember.
I think it was his first movie he directed.
Yeah.
I just saw a Bobcat Goldthwait documentary recently. Oddly enough.
Wow.
I know. I was really strange.
Is he talking normally, or was he screaming?
He's talking normally now. Yeah, he's a big director, producer now.
Okay.
He's like he says, "I'll never do that scream again. I hate the."
All right, I'm going to get the skating one out of the way because Mike and I have talked about it. Ice Castles with Lynn Holly Johnson.
That's because you're not a human being, Russ. Come on, now that's like Ice Castles is a nice movie.
A blind figure skater, just the whole thing. It was
very heartfelt.
No, but this is the thing.
And the theme from Ice Castles is that we all learned at piano lessons when we were kids. So come on, that's like
a blind figure skater who does like 4 or 5 triple jumps, who is basically going to win this tournament or whatever, the U.S. championships, and then she trips over a pile of friggin' roses.
But the other thing was, you could see the cut scenes were so bad because you would watch all this intricate skating and then they would cut to her and she couldn't do anything. Lynn Holly Johnson. It was bad.
And a close second is The Cutting Edge with D.B. Sweeney and Moira Kelly.
Moira Kelly. Yeah, I remember that one.
Moira Kelly, who got kicked out of the West Wing for being a jerk after 1 year.
I kind of remember that one.
Moira Kelly.
Oh, it was so bad.
I got a ping pong movie.
Basically, they converted. D.B. Sweeney was a hockey player, and they.
I had a slight to moderate crush on Moira Kelly.
Now hold on. Do you have a ping pong movie, or am I the only one with a ping pong movie?
Okay, go ahead.
Oh boy.
The ping pong movie is called Ping Pong Summer. It was in 2014. It was an indie film. Get this.
This sounds like something Russ did on Long Island back in the day.
Is this a porn starring Ron Jeremy?
No, but it's an indie film. Susan Sarandon and Leah Thompson, and it was basically the Karate Kid of ping pong movies. It was so obvious. It was like, my God, it was just so. It was one of those. If you watch it, you will laugh at every scene.
The worst bowling movie is a movie called Dreamer with Tim Matheson. It was an early HBO.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, it was bad. I mean, if you go down bowling movies, you're going to probably talk about.
There's not that many.
There's not that many, obviously, but
no.
Volleyball. Somebody had Balls of Fury.
Yeah, Balls of Fury. I was watching that. I don't remember it. But it looked bad.
Side Out? I was going to say Side Out was pretty bad.
Side Out.
Only thing I remember is that the annoying announcer at the tournament, the Cuervo Gold Crown Classic, over and over again, 50,000 times. That's all I remember about that movie. Arch Karai was in it. It was him and whoever it was partnership. I remember. It's all I remember about it.
Look, I'm going to white people. Days of Thunder was crap.
No. See, okay, there you go.
Fun for the racing scenes. The rest of it was just
it was Top Gun. It was Top Gun in a car.
It really was.
Good way to describe it.
The worst NASCAR movie. I think is Ricky Bobby.
I didn't even bother.
I can't because it's a comedy. Again, it's meant to be kind of dumb. Yeah. So I would go. Since Days of Thunder was being much more serious, I would go with Days of Thunder over the Ballad of Ricky Bobby because it knew what it was trying to do. It was lampooning, NASCAR culture. That's what it was doing. You're not first, you're last. I remember about that one.
I'm going to go with the worst racing movie would be Turbo.
Turbo.
Oh, here's the thing. My little one actually really liked Turbo.
Yep.
I was forced to watch at least 2 or 3 times, and then eventually it wore out its welcome.
Who's in
Turbo-
that?
Is that
Turbo is a movie about us. Is an animated movie, like a Pixar type movie.
Well, yeah, well, it was like a slug. It was supposed to be a
It's about a
race
snail.
car.
About a snail.
Yeah, about a
A
snail.
snail.
A snail that
It's a
goes through
snail,
faster
but he's a
races
race
than
car.
NASCAR races.
Yeah, as animated movies go, and I have tolerance for a lot. After 2 or 3 watches, I'm just like, okay, I'd rather have root canal done without the.
Oh, I just thought of one. Hold on, guy, keep going.
Well, okay. The sequel. Okay, Karate Kid was, Karate Kid's a good movie. Karate Kid 2 is basically a repeat of Karate Kid 1. I believe there was a Karate Kid 3. The one with Hilary Swank is brutal. The kid.
It's not brutal. I disagree.
I
It wasn't great.
think 2 was interesting because it took you to Japan. 3
Right.
as a kid, but it was terrible when you look back at the lens of it.
It's not great, but I don't
But
blame
the third
George.
one was, at that point, it was just like we're kind of rehashing the same old ground.
Actually, you know what was awful?
Right.
The remake of the reboot of it, where they put 2 seasons out on like Netflix or
Cobra Kai made
Cobra Kai.
Johnny and hey, listen, it allowed Martin Kove to have a whole second
I know, but it was
second career pitching commercials here for into it, which I'm all for. It was great. I was like,
All
yeah,
right.
that explains your stress
All right,
level.
some people are saying we may have jumped the shark on this show.
I've got the best one.
Please.
Great.
I got 2 more
What
categories.
else do you have to do with your time, kids?
Hang on.
You go first.
Point Break, bad surfing movie with Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze.
But
It's not. I wouldn't even call it. It's just like
It's a surfing movie.
the
crime movie.
The reboot of that movie is even worse. The one that they just made a few years ago.
Yes.
Okay. The worst karate movie is called Best of the Best with Eric.
Oh,
Yeah,
God,
that's awful. Eric Roberts, yeah.
James Earl Jones is the coach too.
Yes. The worst rugby movie is Invictus, a Clint Eastwood movie with Matt Damon, who he put on like 50 pounds of muscle to play this rugby guy.
I didn't even see it.
South Africa.
Morgan Freeman played.
The movie was more about Morgan Freeman being Nelson Mandela than it was about
Right.
Oh, that movie. Okay.
Oh man. All right. Well, we're gonna get out of here, but I do want to. We're going to show here as we leave the trailer to the Puck movie.
Okay.
Oh, Jesus.
Just because this is the National Lampoon trailer, so I might have to cut this at any moment.
You don't have to cut it.
We're gonna see what happens here. Ready? Here we go. All right. We're playing it. I'm gonna turn it up. And that's here. This does not look like the right Puck movie.
Yeah, I don't think this is the right movie.
That looked like a slasher movie.
That's what I was gonna say. It looked like someone's about to get
I'm
killed.
expecting someone to come out and slit her throat.
All right.
Dennis Jameson
High
doing
sticking call.
Good job, X.
2 minutes for high sticking.
That's it. Remember to go to Patreon if you like to support this kind of show.
Please.
Go to patreon.com/hockey, and we would love
to make sure we don't have these kind of shows anymore. Pay us, and we won't do them anymore.
Yeah, right. It's $5 if you want to support the show, $100 a month if you just want us to end the show.
$1,000, I'll leave.
For $100 a month, we will no longer do shows. Remember, without the bus, it is just hockey. We'll talk to you tomorrow.